a space for movement, mindset, and sustainable rhythm. This is Body Evolution.
Hi, and welcome to the Body Evolution Podcast, where health becomes simple, sustainable, and human. Hi, I'm Corey Rep.
And I am Elio Berenguer. We break down fitness, nutrition, habits, and energy through one lens, what actually works in real life. Let's do this. So, in today's episode, lastly, we were talking about health and the different areas of health and pillars like nutrition and fitness and sleep and recovery. So, today, what we want to do is have a conversation how this look through the lens of longevity and health span. So, now I wanted to ask you, Corey, a little question to begin to dig into this topic. When we talk about longevity, what do we really mean beyond just living longer?
Yeah, that's a good question because we should define this because a lot of people have different ideas about what longevity does mean. And again, for us and for most people we deal with, longevity is much more than just living longer. In fact, it may not be living longer span of life, but it's about increasing the quality within your life. And so we call it, a better word might be health span than lifespan. So you have the number of healthy years we're adding to your life, adding youth to your years rather than years to your life. So quality of life really matters so much more than years you lived. Like, what can you do? What can you accomplish? How can you enjoy and experience this life better and longer and accomplish more and be more? That's really, really what it means. So what we talk about when we are promoting longevity, we're promoting a lifestyle that's sustainable uh, along your whole path of life.
That's beautiful, and I love it because it's the best way to really reframe it is the quality. Now, I think that actually right now our healthcare system that is for curing sickness and disease and any health issue is already doing a very good job for longevity. Like making us live longer, but
Yeah,
it's
for
not
yeah
focused.
for lifespan, but not necessarily longevity and how we're seeing either.
Exactly. It's like it's expanding the years you live, but not the quality. And that's the most important part about longevity is not only living longer, but living with the right quality, feeling great with your years. And let's say in some way to push away the decay when we are aging, like to expand those years where you're still more strong and you're still more feeling more vitality. And this makes me remember that I was focused so much for a long time in just how to look good for the summer or how to get a little bit more fit and like very short term, but I was not addressing the long term, the health. And this keep me in the cycle every year, not restarting and restarting to do all the process again, and at the end of the year feeling bad and inflammation and bloated and everything. But once I began to feel like I want to be healthy, I want to feel like this, not only for the summer, I want to feel like this long term. So when I changed my perspective of what I wanted to really enjoy in life, the question shift too, no? Like, hey, I want to look good in summer, or what I would like to do. Oh, I want to live adventures and experience different aspects in life. And for that, I need a body that supports those dreams, no? Those things that I want to allow. But I don't like looking your grandfather or your mother or fathers and everything. Well, some of them are very good shape. They take really good. So you say like, I would like to be like that guy when I'm 60, 70 or 80. But it was not like that exactly in my family. So I was like, I don't want to have those issues my parents are having at their age and being less strong or not good cardiovascular or everything, because now it's harder for them to experience like, hey, let's go walk the whole day. They cannot afford that. Hey, let's go have a trip. Let's do this adventure. And I want to feel that and feel good in those years that usually our body begins to, let's say, decay in some way.
Right. And so, yeah, what you're saying is you have these examples in your life of what longevity means or what it doesn't mean. Like you have that counter example of, and I have the same thing with my mother's in poor health, and it's hard for me to deal with sometimes. But it's certainly an example of saying I want to live my life in a way where I can get beyond that, where I don't have to have that type of decline. Obviously, we're all going to decline. You can't outguess nature, and we're probably all going to decline at some point. But to add those quality years to your life, and the way you said it was about how you didn't like just like this temporary feeling of just getting fit for the short term, or these any kind of specific short term outcome that we might be looking for turns into temporary. The temporary effort turns into temporary results, and we need that consistency of effort for that consistency long-term result, which really you know, creates that hardy body that we can live that life that we're meant to live with. And so, on that same mode that you were talking about, why do you think so many people feel stuck in restart cycles?
Well, exactly. I feel that was happening to me for a long time is what happened to a lot of people. There is a part that we have this more short-term approach, to things in life. Like I want to feel like this for the summer. I want to look good for this event. I'm gonna do a marathon, so I train hard for doing a marathon. But we don't have those perspective like long term, how we want to feel. So sometimes because of this, we take this approach. I want to feel good for this specific moment or event or situation, and sometimes we take an approach that is very unsustainable because it's drastic. I need to lose this amount of weight and I have to do this and prepare like this and train hard for this and do this diet. So it's a short term of perspective instead of looking in the long term. I think there is a part of psychology addressed here that it's very usual that as humans we are very impatient. We want things like fast, but we don't prepare our life like for long term. And sometimes we don't understand that we have to take step by step, and it's better sometimes to, let's say, lose weight in a way that is more natural, and when you get to the point you like, then sustain it over there, that doing a very drastic way, and yes, you will get to that weight, but the way was not unsustainable, so it's gonna kick you again to restart, because once you finish that very stressful moment, like a extreme diet or a super extreme exercise to get fit for one thing, after that you just want to relax and you go back to what you were doing before. And this keeps you in a cycle that you have to restart, or maybe every year, every X months, uh, or maybe you get fit and you're good for 1 year and something, and then back again. So it will change the cycles, but usually we keep in these cycles, and it's usually more because our approach is not sustainable. Uh, so we have this approach of the year cycle. Everyone can relate. There are like two specific moments of the year, like all the people wants to lose weight. One is before the summer. We want to get fit before the summer. And the other one is the part of guiltiness after the, December, November, December, October, all with all these festivities, and kind of you gain a lot and everything. So after that we are always like, oh, I have gained a lot, I should try to push to lower. So we have those cycles that are aligned too with culture, like with what happens in the year going through. And this just keeps on making that you do peaks of extreme things and then it crash. It crashed because you cannot sustain a diet that is super low calorie for a very long term. And it even not only because it's very stressful for you, but because the body is going to adapt. And once the body adapt, you will say, I'm not losing any more weight. Well, because the body have to reset and adapt his system. So, hey, you are eating less. I have to spend less energy. So the idea for people should be to look how to create something that is steady, that is aligned, that keeps you moving in rhythm. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be accompanied with the seasons of the year or seasons of life, but it have to be a rhythm that we go through. So we don't have to go again through the restarting point, because these are like what you will feel like this kind of symptoms of it's so hard every year. Like imagine you lose every year 8 kilos, and every year you gain those 8 kilos again. What you have to do is like it's painful to think to do again all that process, and it's like again an extreme diet, again to put yourself into pain through 1 or 2 months, super hard. So the truth is that for longevity, yes, we have this harmony that can goes up and down, but not going to those extremes. The idea, instead of being here, is close the gap and fluctuate between extremes that are more soft and more sustainable. Because it's normal, we will gain. It was normal in natural life. Now that in winter, before winter, you needed to back up energy to survive the winter, and then during the part of spring, entering the summer, you began to lose that weight during winter and spring, and in summer and fall, you needed to back up again energy to survive again the other. So it's normal to go up and down in your weight, in your strength and everything, and it's gonna be aligned with the cycle of the seasons, with seasons of your life and everything. But what we require is to have in that little threshold that we can create that is more gentle and sustainable. So we don't have to go to those extremes every year. And for me, it was for a long time. I could say that if friends of mine talk right now, they will laugh because I was up and down, up and down, up and down. And if it was a little bit extreme, I was going between up and down. The time that I was the highest, I was 105 kilos, but I never could go down from 85, 83. That was like my top in the bottom. But we were talking that my normal for a long time was between 83 and 97. We're talking a big chunk of difference. So maybe one year I was nice, and then a whole year I was completely bulk and big and heavy. And because of my back problems and everything, it was a cycle that it was painful. Yes, when I was losing weight, I was happy, but then I could stay for a long time, a little bit lacking confidence, affecting my way of moving in life, with pain in my lower back and everything. And it didn't change until I have this perspective of health span, no, of gaining quality in my years and feeling good more in the long term. And now it's easier. I can still go up, but now I don't allow myself to go to the extreme up. I can set up, oh, I'm going up. Okay, I'm going to do the changes. And now my margin is lower. And once I behave like that, I could break that threshold of 83, and I went down to 75 even. And now I'm more between a threshold that is more gentle and is more aligned, almost near the 83, 80, is more gentle for my daily life. Still, there are moments in life I go a little bit crazy, but I try to keep it over there.
Yeah.
So that's important. It's
Right.
important.
Yeah, the consistency becomes important. And you also mentioned that the stress and how hard it is to like attack this thing once again every year, always restart. It's not only difficult, it's harmful to longevity to go through extremes like that. not that cycling your body through a little bit of fat loss and a little bit of strength gain up and down, like you said, in a gentle flow, that's not harmful for your longevity. It's actually sometimes, recoverable stress is always good for your longevity. But these consistent, like, periods of self-loathing and then big push that you're fighting against, and it's all about stress and pressure, those are not healthy things to go through in your life. And to then have that where you're up and down, and when the the weight goes up, you're gaining likely a lot more fat than muscle, and the weight goes down, I've mentioned this before, you're losing fat and muscle. And so as you that big yo-yo for most people, and the way they go about it, especially with mostly just dieting and extreme diets, and they don't have a consistent strength and protein protocol, they end up losing their body shape and their health muscle, which is, there's so much, and we can get into longevity later in later episodes about how muscle is so important for longevity. That is
Yes.
something that we really need to keep in mind. And so these restart cycles actually are anti-longevity. And so
Yes.
something people should keep in mind is, like, we want that consistency, that smoother curve of ups and downs. And with seasonal, yes, like you said, it can go up and down for seasons a little bit, but you have some consistency in your life. You have a direction, you have a flow and a rhythm that you keep.
Yes.
So yeah,
And it make it easier when you want to, oh, I'm going up a little bit. Okay, now I have to do this. Now you don't have to think I have to lose 15 kilos because I let it go too much. Now I don't have to go to the gym and kill myself to regain all the muscle I lose, because you are in a consistent way. And the truth is that longevity is really not living our life forever, no? But is for longevity, we have to get out from that cycles of burnout, when we go up and down with those big peaks and crashes and restarting, because, as you say, it creates a lot of imbalance each time we create those extreme points. And this this bring me the question that is so important, and is, what do you think about that? What happens to people in real life that they cannot sustain the changes? Why is so hard for some people to sustain these changes long term, and keep that threshold
yeah, yeah.
smaller?
And this is a drumbeat we keep hitting with our podcast and with our message in general, is about the sustainable change, and why certain things are anti-sustainable change, and the things that you can do that are sustainable. But people, the reasons why they can't keep up this and sustain change in their life is a lot of people have this all or nothing identity, or where they either, I've got to be perfect at it, I have to do it all at once, or it's not worth doing it all. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to dive all in. And that, it feels good in the moment when you're motivated and everything else, but that motivation doesn't last if it's not part of who you are. And so you can't do all or nothing, because that your body's going to end up fighting. We talked previously about how your nervous system just sort of rejects that kind of change. Some people just have unrealistic expectations. We're all built differently. My ideal body is different from your ideal body, is different from, certainly, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger's our ideal body in the 70s kind of thing, to where I'm never going to be a bodybuilder. I'm never going to be 6 feet 7 inches tall. Sorry for you to do the metric. I'm not sure how much that is. Like, I'm never going to be 2 meters tall. But we have to accept what our best body is, and live toward that, and be happy and love that. So these unrealistic expectations that people have is like, I want to look like that person. You're not going to be that person. You're not that person. Thank God you're not that person. So you need to have expectations that fit you and yourself. And so that stuff with the all or nothing and the unrealistic expectations creates this nervous system overload that people can't sustain. your body will reject it. And when your nervous system's overloaded, you come into stress, you reject this new and different and uncomfortable way of life, and you fight it completely, and you fall back into comfort, you fall back into what you used to be. So when you're obsessed with these specific outcomes, then you're always going to be like, you can't predict how things are going to turn out exactly. You don't want to be obsessed with specific outcomes. You want to be looking for consistent change and consistent improvement. And so when you're tied to these things, again, it ends up leading to lack of self-trust and nervous system overload, and you can't really keep it. So these people that try all of that, they're not seeing themselves as the kind of person who can sustain this. They're not seeing, we've talked about identity a lot, and it's so important that if you see yourself as somebody who can sustain this, if you have in your mind, this is something I can live with for my life in terms of the lifestyle changes you're doing, then that's better. But when it's not you, when it's like, I'm not that type of person, this is a temporary thing in the back of my mind, then you're misaligned with your identity, and that creates the doubt, the inconsistency, and you fall off. And so that's why people go through those cycles.
Yes. And I love the way you are expressing it, that you were talking and I was remembering what happens to a lot of people is that in that process that you were explaining, it's very easy to fail. Now, when you are looking like Schwarzenegger, or you're seeing, oh, I saw this movie and this guy, I want to be like that. And then you try to go to the gym, and we were talking about the rush we want to get all the things. Oh, I have been going to the gym 1 month and a half and nothing is changing, and I don't see myself like that and book and strong and everything. And that lowers their motivation, it lowers their self-trust, they think they cannot do it, they stop believing in themselves being able to do those things. And this is very similar that people, for having to get to a point, we need to invest time and be patient and do it steady, step by step, and we have to practice, and it takes a little bit of time. In the industry of health and wellness, we have seen how everybody wants to get to point A to point B so fast, like this. And yes, you can do changes that can take you fast, but you have to remember your body has to adapt. This is like, for example, in the school, I always was seeing a struggle with people with drawing. They sit down to draw, they are drawing, and they see the picture of the one who are next to them, who maybe was more talented and was drawing a more beautiful. Oh, they look there, I like that, I don't know how to draw. And then they stay for the whole life saying, I don't know how to draw. Did you really put the time? Did you really put the effort to learn to draw? Did you do the practices? And I'm saying this because we're talking about talent, but there is a thing about body too. We have people who is fast adapters and all that are slow adapters, and it's because of their metabolism and their body. So we don't have the same body. Even we do the same diet, maybe we don't lose the same weight fast, the same. And this happens for a lot of people that, oh, my friend is doing this and he's getting all these results in 1 month, I am not giving up, and they give up. And it's because sometimes we are lacking that patience of going through the process, and your body is different, and there is going to be a moment that it pops and it begins to transform, but for some people it's very fast, for other people it's a little bit slower. And I wanted to say that because I have more fast adapting system. So when I begin to do changes, I begin to see changes faster than other friends. But at the same time, I have seen how that can affect the motivation or the mentality of other person who is doing the same than me, and I'm getting some results and they are not getting them as fast, no? and then they quit. This doesn't work for me. So I feel that sometimes we need those things because it happened to me. I was comparing to people and I said, oh, that change is so far. He do this, all this. What about me? I'm not getting there. When I began to learn to be patient, it only take a little bit more time for me. And if I stay in the correct rhythm, but I was failing for a long time and for years because I was lacking trust in myself. I cannot do that. I cannot get there. I don't have the energy. I don't have the motivation. I don't have the discipline. I don't know how to do it. All that was missing in me. So it was really hard.
Yeah. And the self-trust piece is important. That it's like you're looking at yourself and trusting that changes will come at your pace. So that's part of that self-trust, is that you have your own pace, and maybe you have your own little techniques that you have to feel out, that what worked for that person may not work for me, but I gotta trust that I'm gonna find what works for me. So that's great.
Yes.
So when we talk about people sticking to changes and making them sustainable, people often think it's like, I just need more discipline. If I was one of those type A people who was so disciplined and just did everything the way I intend to do it, then I'll just make it happen. So why don't you think that discipline alone is going to help that kind of sustainability?
Whoa, that's a big topic. It's a big topic. It's one of the things we keep on saying to ourselves. I need more discipline. The funny thing is that sometimes we are looking people and say, "Oh, they're so disciplined. They go to the gym every day and everything," and we call it discipline. But then that person who goes to the gym every day and take care and they are fit and everything, they go to see you at your home and, oh, this guy is so disciplined. Everything is so tight, so organized, so perfect. He have everything. He and when he works, oh my God, how he does to concentrate for so long periods of time. So there is that misalignment when we talk about discipline. Now, is discipline important? Yes, I'm not going to say discipline is not important. Discipline is super important and willpower is super important when we are starting something new, because we are just starting and it's new for us, it's unknown, it's a challenge that you have to do at the beginning. It's a little challenge. I'm going to change a habit. I'm going to start doing this. Anything, you're going to start learning something. At the beginning, we need that part of discipline. We need that part of willpower. But they are just to start. And that person that you were seeing in the gym, that you say is so disciplined, no, he was disciplined at the beginning. That was the truth. At the beginning, he was disciplined. Once it becomes part of him, of who he is, there is no more discipline. It's that you will ask that person, don't go to the gym, and say like, oh no, I don't see myself not going to the gym. It's part of it's part of me. I like it. If I don't go for several days, I feel bad. It's funny when we hear about these things, but other people have it for reading books. And you will say, oh, how disciplined they are. No, they love to read books. They don't need discipline to sit down and read the book, you know? The one who needs the discipline is the one who is not used to read the book, and now he wants to start reading books. So for sure, at the beginning, creating the habit takes time. There you need the discipline. There you need the willpower. Oh, let's take the book, let's open, let's read at least 10 pages or 5 pages or 1 page, whatever. It takes the discipline, but it's not sustainable. So discipline fails long term. It only works very short term, and it only works to start. So for me, the foundation cannot be relying on discipline and willpower, because those ones they are going to fade out. Even it cannot only rely on motivation, because even you don't feel motivated every day you start to do everything. You don't feel motivated all the time. Even if you like to dance, to party and everything, you don't feel the whole day you are, oh, let's go. No, no. There are moments that motivation fluctuates too in our life. So is very useful, definitely at the beginning, but not to help us go through the whole journey. It doesn't help us to really sustain things and make things happen for a long term. One of the best examples, if you see military, at the beginning is pure discipline, man. They push them hard, and you come from a style of life, and now they like wake up at this hour, go back there. After a period of time using the discipline, they begin to behave like that. Once they even quit, once not they quit, they finish their prestation and everything for military, they're more organized. It becomes part of who they are, and it's easier. But even there, you can throw everything away if you begin to adopt other kind of behavior. So that's the part when we need that is aligned with our identity. Because even if you create the discipline, then you become that person doing that, but there is misalignment with really who you want to be and the things you want in life, even that it's going to be longer than only discipline, and you're going to do it for a longer period of time, but even that is going to in some moment go down. So I just will say that discipline is not a villain. Discipline and willpower are not bad. They are good, but they are not the heroes of the story at all. They are not the heroes for a long term, for your health span, for your life. And I don't know if you have one of these situations in your life or something like that that has happened to you.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think we all have, to where we try to start something through, I'm going to do this every day, but if it's not something that's aligned or embodied with us, it just doesn't last. It falls away for almost everybody. And I like how you say that, discipline's not the villain. It's just not the hero to the story, to your journey. It's a useful tool, though. Like you say, even beyond just the beginning. Like, I am a healthy, fit person. I go to the gym a lot, but there are those days where I just I don't feel motivated. I don't feel as but I need to get that little bit of a willpower, that little bit of discipline. I need to make those things happen. So it does take that mental strength and force yourself just over that little hump to get going again. And so it's a little restart tool, as well as that, at the beginning. It's a lot at the beginning, but it's a little restart as well.
Yes. And I love that, how you reframe it. I love it because it's true. Each time that, even if we are aligned in identity, there are going to be days, no motivation and everything, and those moments, but the difference is the amount that you need to use. The amount. Like at the beginning, you need a lot of willpower, a lot of discipline, but when it becomes part of what you're doing and you like, there are going to be days that you don't need to use at all. It just flows. But there are going to be days that if it's rainy and everything, I would love to stay at bed, but okay, come on. We're doing this for ourselves. Let's do it. And you have to push, but the amount is very little in comparison. Definitely it's very little. So what actually makes health sustainable long term?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So sustainable health isn't built on willpower. It's actually built on alignment. So with that, we have to have an identity that reinforces our behavior rather than consistent motivation, right? So we can't ever have that constant motivation. But if our identity and who we choose to be is aligned with those things, that's what makes the sustainable thing long term. So what healthy things lead to that, right? Health that matches your lifestyle, these little habits that fit you, not some formula that somebody else has used specifically. Sure, there are tools that work for almost everybody, and there are really good tools out there that this person might be using this person might be using that, but you gotta create your own mix, your own formula. You're your own unique person. Not only is your biology unique, but your life is unique, and your lifestyle needs to fit with you, with the way you want to be. So you find the healthy parts that matches who you are. You find these small little daily rituals that you can integrate sort of seamlessly into your life, that take just a little bit of willpower to get started. Say, oh, this feels good. I can do this for my life. This feels good for who I want to be. And then you incorporate more and more of those. You don't do these big resets that again just create that big resistance and create too much reliance on willpower and discipline. So you find these systems, you create these systems that fit your real life. So you're really looking for sustainability without that constant stress, because honestly, the constant stress doesn't allow sustainability. It actually fights it. For me, one of the things that I do, that just sort of a subtle little thing that really started helping me with, I've been fit all my life, but I've had some injuries, I've had aches and pains, I've had some mobility issues because I sort of succumb to the, oh, it hurts when I do this, so I don't do that. So then I lose mobility in a certain area, like my lower back and things like that. I've had problems with. I know you've had your own problems with those as well. But so I started something that was really easy for me. I started like a 10-minute morning routine just to get through some mobility work, just to get my body through specific ranges of motion and a little bit of like body weight strength in, through an extreme range of motion, just to get my body moving and those joints in the full mobility that I wanted them. And it wasn't hard at all. It was just like, it just takes 10 minutes. I got 10 minutes in the morning. I can either wake up 10 minutes early if I got someplace to be, or I can, squeeze it in between this and that. But it's not about, every day. I don't do it every day, but it was like something that feels good. And now my morning routine, actually my full one, will take about 20 minutes. But that's it, because it felt good to naturally build on that. It wasn't something that I started. If I started with that full 20-minute routine, it'd have fallen away early on. It would have been too much to kind of fit in. It feel too big of a thing to bite off and chew. And so it's like, you got to find those little bites, and they lead to the bigger stuff.
Yes, it's true. And as you were saying, for me, building different habits have been like that. When I wanted to start reading more books, uh, trust me, I tried to start the big way. No, I'm gonna read 50 pages a day and everything, and it, it never worked. And then I realized, learning about habits, the best way is to start small and building up. And I start, okay, let's go very small. I'm gonna start with maybe 5 pages. Even that didn't work. I cannot do it every day. So I lowered it 1 page. I get to the point, one sentence. One sentence. But that was sustainable. I had my win, the victory of the day, and I began from there. And then I began, and I was like, until a point, I was just opening the book and reading any kind of amount was feeling good. But at the beginning was hard. The same for the gym. I started and going instead at the beginning to go 5 days and do this and that. And then I changed it. I said, like, look, I'm gonna put 2 times a week, and that's what I'm gonna set up. 2 times a week, I'm gonna do this routine, and I don't want to stay more than X amount. And I was doing, some days I did the small routine, 15, 20 minutes, done. I go happy for home, victory. Other days, I was so pumped up and so into the situation that I will stay longer because I wanted in that moment already being there. So those little rituals, if you put those small steps, they can build up in time. but I was not pushing to make them bigger until I was feeling I want more. Not because of pressure, I need more. No, like, damn, I just read one sentence, but I want to read more. So then I keep on reading, And some days it will be like, I got my sentence of today. I'm not in the mood. But I was always doing the small ritual, that small step.
Right. No, that's good. And that's what keeps that consistency. And when it feels good to add, when it's not pressure, when it's not, I should. Yeah. This episode is going a little bit longer than we expected, so we're going to split it into two so it doesn't take up too much of your day. We'd love for you to join us on the second half of this episode in the next one.